as global temperatures are expected to increase further. Climate scientists tell us that 18 of the last 20 years were the warmest ever recorded on Earth. Accelerated melting of ice sheets and glaciers is likely consequence that could lead to further sea level rise. This phenomenon is not expected to have a consistent global consequence for all coastal areas, as sea levels are predicted to increase much more for some areas than for others. Most scientists agree that global warming presents threat to environment. The two major causes of global sea level rise are thermal expansion, caused by warming of the oceans, and increases melting of land-based ice, such as glaciers and ice sheets. The oceans are absorbing more than 90% of the increased atmospheric heat associated with emissions from human activity. It had to do with how we are emitting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. CO2 is what leads to the global warming, which is what leads to glaciers retreating, which is what leads to sea level rise. Warmer water is actually just a little bit less dense, so it expands just a little bit when it heats, and then it's also you have all of the water leaving the ice that's on the lane of going into the ocean that causes the ocean to rise. And you will notice the units. The units are 3.4 millimeters per year. There are two major impacts of the sea level rise. Higher seas endangers coastal communities. Some 40% of the world's population lives within 62 miles of the oceans, putting millions of lives and billions of dollars worth of property and infrastructure at risk. Sea level rise can cause saltwater intrusion. Sea level rise can mean that salt water intrudes into groundwater drinking supplies, contaminates irrigation supplies, or overruns agricultural fields. Low-lying, gently sloping coastal areas are particularly vulnerable to contamination of the freshwater supplies. The Mekong Delta in southern Vietnam, which produces nearly half of the country's rice, is particularly vulnerable to global sea level rise. Sea level rise threatens the viability of precision rice farming in the Mekong Delta in the southern Vietnam. The Delta has produced nearly half of the country's rice since 1997. 60% of the Delta is likely to become highly vulnerable to flooding if the sea level rises 17.7 inches above 1997 level. Increases in saltwater intrusion may also reduce rice production, potentially reducing the opportunity for rice flowing from 3 seasons in the year to just one. Scientists at Mekong River Commissions also warn that if the sea level continues to rise at its projected rate of around 1 meter by the end of the century, nearly 40% of the delta will be wiped out. By 2050, sea level rise in the delta could affect an estimated 1 million people or more. There is no single solution to global warming, which is primarily a problem of too much heat trapping carbon dioxide. Even if emissions were stabilized in present, a further warming of 0.5 degrees Celsius could still occur. Climate takes centuries to adjust to change. There are several technologies and approaches to bring down the emission of greenhouse gas, such as use cleaner and less polluting technology, use of the renewable energy. However, the world should come together and buy into the agreement to limit further increase in global mean temperature below 2 degrees Celsius, which could put carbon dioxide into the atmosphere much more reasonable. Thank you for watching.